Hello, retail traders. This is Washboardjim with a sneaky snake trading strategy. Some more bad news for Boeing. The sneaky snake trading strategy is all about chart patterns, moving averages, and being in the now. So, Boeing has had one heck of a run, and then all of a sudden it gets stuck with some real bad, sad news. At least nobody died in this incident. Updated statement on Alaska Airlines Flight 1282. So we're going to bring a little bitty newscast into the scene here.
Well, Natasha, as you mentioned, they're not taking any chances in terms of the FAA grounding 171 of those Boeing 737 MAX 9 airplanes and making sure that each and every one of them is inspected before they are put back into the runways. Thankfully, nobody was hurt when you saw that door suddenly get blown off that Alaska Airlines flight so suddenly. I spoke to a former NTSB investigator and asked him what needs to be done here to make sure that people and planes are safer in the skies.
We were on the plane about 20 minutes into the flight, and all of a sudden I heard like a boom. I looked to my side, and the whole piece of the wall of the plane just is completely off, and the wind is blowing. It's super loud.
Fright while in flight. Elizabeth was one of 171 passengers and 6 crew members on board an Alaska Airlines aircraft that had a door panel blowout mid-flight, forcing pilots to turn around the California-based Boeing 737 MAX 9 jet. Flight 1282 took off from Portland at 5:07 p.m. on Friday, according to FlightAware data. And less than 20 minutes into the flight is when passengers say they heard that loud boom and the door fly off. The jet landed safely back at Portland at 5:27 p.m. with no injuries reported. But passengers said a young boy's shirt was ripped off his chest and swept out through the door hole.
Ripped off.
His mother clinging to him, so he too didn't get pulled with it. Greg Feith, a former senior NTSB investigator, told me if this jet had climbed a few thousand feet higher, it could have been a seismic disaster.
The fortunate thing is they were at a low altitude. So when you talk about pressurization of an aircraft, it's that differential pressure. Being at 16,000 feet, had this airplane been at 35,000 feet where the cabin differential pressure would have been greater, it could have been more catastrophic.
In a statement, Alaska Airlines CEO emphasized safety is a, quote, foundational value, and that they temporarily grounded their entire fleet of 65 Boeing 737 MAX 9 planes as a precaution. We are working with Boeing and regulators to understand what occurred tonight, their CEO said. My heart goes out to those who were on this flight. I am so sorry for what you experienced. The FAA said Saturday morning they're temporarily grounding 171 Boeing 737 MAX 9 planes worldwide that are operated by U.S. airlines or U.S. territories, which impacts mostly Alaska and United Airlines. This is just the latest catastrophe for Boeing 737 MAXes, following 2 fatal crashes in 2018 and 2019, linked to poorly designed cockpit software that killed 346 people in Ethiopia and Indonesia, which grounded the aircrafts for 20 months worldwide. Boeing estimated the crisis cost the company $20.7 billion. They said in a statement they're supporting this latest NTSB investigation and that safety is their top priority.
So that's it. Sounds pretty bad news to me. As we pull up the side here, we go into Wahoo Finance. It's all headlines. FFA orders grounding of some of the 737 MAX 9 jets after experience in emergency landing. The grounding back in the spotlight again. Boeing suffers another setback. I'm glad nobody was hurt. That's the main thing. The kid's shirt was torn right off the back. I can't believe that. If I was in that plane, I would be a nervous wreck. I mean, I would be freaking out. I'd say, where's the sleeping pills? It's time. Ethel, take me up there. I'm coming to see you. So, we're going to look at the chart. There's a couple things on the chart that I want to talk about. Using TrendSpider platform, we've got the Anchor VWAP, which brings you right in here to the volume price, which I think could be around support, just a little bit above 200, and we got about 210, 220 area. So somewhere in that area I think would be a good spot. We're going to pull up the TTM trend. I'm going to go to the 3-year time frame on the weekly, and I do see a nice little support line right up in here, and I'm going to draw that all the way across. It's pretty much, there's two of them. Whoop, I didn't want that. Right there, and then more or less right there. This is called starting of a head and shoulders. There's your head, and here's your left neckline. So this thing can, if it doesn't hold the 9 on the weekly, we could easily fall back down in here right around the 225 area. Our first stop is going to be right here on this previous high. So we're going to go ahead and jot that in there, price line, for support. If that does not hold, if that 9 does not hold on the weekly, we could go ahead. This momentum can bring the stock down real easy, just because of the fear factor of what happened before. And we watched this stock really tank hard during that period for years. I don't think it's going to happen here, but it's definitely going to pull back. I think you'd be a fool if you'd want to buy it at these levels with that kind of incident going on. So 238.50 will be your first support. Your second one will be right here off this here shoulder line. If we come back and pull back to that shoulder, I'm going to pull up the 1-year time frame here in a bit, and we could fall back all the way back to the 50 SMA. So that would be another support level right off that 50 on the weekly, and then a strong buy. I don't know, I can't see it going under 200, but if it does pull back, it can. I mean, we've had one heck of a run here, okay? We've had one heck of a run here in 6-week period. It ran all the way from that 200 SMA at 195 all the way up to 267. So to me, that's irrational exuberance to begin with, and we almost cleared a double top up here. So yeah, I think we could hold that 50, that 21 area, and if that does not hold, then it's going to be a very strong buy right around 195, and it can get down there. Will have to depend on how the market reaction is, but around 198 would be my bottom support channel on this here trade, which would be an inverse head and shoulders. So we got a head and shoulders here, support line, and we have an inverse head and shoulders right here above the 200, which makes that a very strong buy. You'd have a double confirmation. So that's Boeing. Got to be safe out there. Got to be safe. So this is going to be a fun one to watch. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the yearly time frame. See if I see anything different, which I don't. We more or less have this here support line right there off the 50 SMA. So an easy pullback to the 50 if I'm looking at the yearly, daily, and maybe a 213 low. So we're going to stick with that 225, 226 area for support. I'm going to probably go ahead and buy puts on this come Monday and run it down to that shoulder line off the 50 SMA. And that price, again, is right around 226.35 with my first stop at 238.50. That's Boeing. God bless America. Also wanted to point out the Anchor VWAP. We have the Anchor VWAP in the price volume index. So it's somewhere right around the 209 area, 210, with our first stop right around that 220. So there is some money where I said that we could probably go ahead and find our first support or our last support and hold that up. And I'm going to do something else different here on that other time frame that I kind of forgot about doing. I'm going to put a Fibonacci on this thing. On this run fest that we've had in the last 2 to 3 months. So it pulls right back to that 50% pullback, pulls just a little bit below the 50 SMA. So if you were going to use the Fibbies on this big run, your first stop would be right around 232. But I'm going to go ahead and stick with my support levels of 238.50 and 226.50. 35, somewhere in that area. That's Boeing. There we go. The Boeing website. Updated statement, Alaska Airlines flight 1222. Learn more. Go ahead and read that on the Boeing website, and I'll catch you later. This is the Sneaky Snake trading strategy, where I'm seeing a pullback in Boeing, pretty good substantial pullback, and I'm going to be playing puts on it, and that's it. Have a great day.